Am I audible? Thank you so much, Sadhika. Sarva Vidya Prasadena Vardhate Gyan Muktamam Vidya Dadati Vinayam Vinaya Dhyati Patratam. By the grace of all knowledge, the highest wisdom grows. Knowledge imparts humility, and humility leads to worthiness. With this intent, a very good afternoon, all distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and dear participants. Welcome to our 5 days faculty development program on publishing in high impact journals, strategies for effective writing and leveraging AI in research. Today, we begin an important journey to enhance our scholarly publishing skills and explore the transformative role of AI in the research. Publishing in high impact journal is a crucial measure for research quality and its impact. However, the path is challenging, requiring effective writing and strategic planning. In this 5 days program, we'll learn to structure papers, present argument persuasively, and meet high standard journals, thereby improving our research quality and publication success. We'll also explore how AI can revolutionize research from data analysis to manuscript preparation. AI tool can help uncover insights, generate hypotheses, and ensure our manuscripts are clear and coherent. However, it is advisable that we must use AI ethically, maintaining transparency, fairness, and accountability. So, we are privileged to learn from experts who have successfully published in high impact journals and harnessed AI in their researches. Their insights will inspire us to push the boundaries of our scholarly endeavors. Albert Einstein once said, intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. So let's seize this opportunity to learn, collaborate, and innovate. Together, we can elevate our research to new heights and make a lasting impact on the academic community and beyond. In conclusion, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the speakers and participants and extend all my compliments to the organizing team for their dedication and enthusiasm. Thank you so very much, and I wish you all a productive and enlightening faculty development program for next 5 days. Thank you so very much. Over to you, Sadika.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful address. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest speaker for today's session, Dr. Janal Samir Shah. Dr. Shah is currently the Assistant Professor of Marketing at the School of Business Management at Narsi Munji Institute of Management Studies. With over 12 years of teaching experience, she has earned a reputation for her exceptional contribution to the education and research industry. Dr. Shah holds a doctoral degree from KG Sumaya Institute of Management Studies and is a gold medalist in her MBA. Her accolades include 9 awards for the best research paper at prestigious international conferences and 7 publications, including one in the ABC A category and another in Scopus. Dr. Shah has authored books on consumer behavior, digital marketing, and brand management, and is contributing author to the Strategy Story portal. She has published cases in the 15th edition of Marketing Management by Philip Kotler and contributed content to the 5th edition of Strategic Brand Management by Kevin Keller. Recognized as the best young teacher by the Higher Education Forum, Dr. Shah has a deep passion for personal branding on LinkedIn and has conducted sessions in over 50 colleges, including IIMs, IITs, JBIMS, and various campuses of Narsi Munji. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Janal Samir Shah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Uh, uh, it feels really great to interact with all of you to share my thoughts. And thank you so much for this warm introduction. Without further ado, I'll begin my presentation. So the topic that I'll be dealing today is the screen visible? Is the PPT visible?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, I'll be talking about introduction to research writing and its importance, and whatever publications that I have done till now. So, there's one A star. There are four C category papers. There's one Scopus, one UGCK. So, I'll try to share a lot of those things, and so the importance part of it, I will talk as and when I take you through the structure of the research paper, research writing, and here I begin. My first thoughts, okay, that whenever I think about research writing, is that there are some challenges that we all encompass, we all encounter, whether you are a novice researcher or whether you are somebody who is an experienced one. The two critical challenges that we see, okay, when it comes to research writing is manuscript and motivation. See, when it comes to manuscript, I will definitely speak a lot about those things, but I'll also like to talk about the motivation. When I say manuscript, okay, there are some challenges that we all face. Is that we are unable to read, okay, what we encounter. We're unable to understand. You're reading, but you're not able to structure the thoughts. You're not able to make sense of what is being given, or sometimes there is inability to write. If you go through any of this, remember that this is very normal. Okay, this is very normal for any. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
The slide is also moving.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So, if you feel you are facing any of these three or all of the three, then please remember that this is very normal. We all go through this. Research is a difficult endeavor. It is a very highly cognitive activity. It needs a lot of higher order thinking. And so to feel this is very normal. But what we have to do is through practice, through consistent reading, writing, through some good research habits, we have to overcome this. How do we overcome this? Okay, I will let you know as we go through. But I also want to talk about some when it comes to the motivation, okay, and this is something very easy that we can encounter. If we overcome the motivation issue, the manuscript issue can be easily resolved. And what is the motivation issue? All of us, okay, have multiple academic responsibilities, we have family responsibilities, so time is always going to be less for us. So how do we find time to do this higher order activity, to do this high intellectual activity? Second is lack of confidence. Confidence gets built up when you do read, when you write, when you publish. Your confidence is work in progress. It can't be like I give you a talk today and then you become confident. No, it's not going to happen that way. Confidence comes through knowledge, confidence comes through practice. And third is lack of guidance. Sometimes we feel we are lost, we're not able to understand. So sessions like these, FDPs like this, give us an opportunity to understand, to listen to various resource persons and so on. I just want to share with you my learning journey when it comes to research. I felt that the maximum learning I had was during my PhD period, and that was the time also when there was pandemic. And in the first year of that pandemic, 2020, I used to attend so many research webinars, FDPs. I would make notes. I would read books on research methodology. I would also go through YouTube channels of some prolific researchers and academicians in the country. And that kind of, every workshop, every book that I read, every paper that I read, it was kind of a piece of this jigsaw puzzle. The more I did, the more my puzzle, okay, completed, and then I could make sense of what I was doing this. So you will also, what I have seen a lot of people, that you have to get into that learning mode. You can't say that, okay, I will do research, but I will not do statistics, I will not do data analysis, somebody else will do for me. It doesn't work out that way. You will have to do introduction writing, you will have to go through the literature review, you will have to collect data, and so on and so forth. So this is something, okay, I thought I should start with. Now, we all are trying to figure out, okay, how do we come up with that research paper, which is a UGCK, a Scopus, ABDC, and so on. How do we do that? So there are some, let us try to decode this. Let us try to understand all of this. Also, if the participants have any query, any question, Please raise your hands. Please stop me. I would like to, answer your queries. So what do we publish? Okay, when I say publish, okay, what are the possibilities? Okay, what should we doing? Very important that we publish original stuff. Very important that we publish recent and something which is significant. When I say original, definitely okay, it should not be a copy paste. I also feel that it cannot be a completely AI generated material. You can use AI maybe for grammar correction, maybe for change your wording style. But if you ask AI that give me an introduction on neuromarketing and all, it will give you the data, it will give you the information. But I don't think okay, it can give you that original insights or that publishable content. Now you will say, madam, how do we get original content? How do I write original? I'm not a writer by nature or writer by habit. I've always seen that the more you read, the better you can reproduce. So, reading is extremely important. We should be ideally publishing research from our domain and something of which we have a lot of depth knowledge, something of which, okay, we are thought leaders, we are expert. And then, you will see that automatically words start flowing when you start writing or typing. The second aspect of what to publish is that the recency. It's very critical that we publish something recent phenomena or a recent domain, something which is of interest to the society, interest to the industry. What is the point of doing a research where there are thousands of papers already, things have been established, constructed, deconstructed, established, negated, and so on and so forth. Okay, then it will be like finding a needle in the haystack, and it will be a very tiring journey, and probably we will not get that sort of cognitive high intellectual stimulation that we're looking from the research activity. So very, very important that something that we're doing has to be very recent. I will say, madam, how do I know recent stuff? Okay, how do I get hold of it? Read newspapers, read business magazines, watch interviews, listen to podcasts of business professionals, the changing things that are happening in the society. Like Ola has decided that it's not going to use Google Map, it's going to create its own Ola map. Now, why is that happening? Because Google has been implementing a lot of monopolistic trade practices. So a lot of startups are revolting against Google. So uh, read as much new as you can depending on the field that you are. If you're somebody from political science, you can see what is happening in US elections with the recent shooting of the former president Donald Trump and the way his popularity has risen. So it's very important that you pick recent phenomena. When I say recent phenomena, these are incidents, these are news bites or news items. So our research paper can't be that. But what is the underlying phenomena which is leading to rise of somebody, which is leading to a fall of a company, leading to a merger, leading to employee attrition, so on and so forth. Like that, we can get a lot of material and built up on our ideas. And next is something which is significant, something which contributes to the theory. Very, very important. Whatever research that you're doing, you're not doing it for yourself. Although we may say that I'm doing research for my promotion, from my APIs, to go from one level to another level, or to get that promotion that I need. But those are not the right reasons to do research. Those are all extrinsic motivators. Your research should be something okay which solves your curiosity, solves societal problems, helps in policy making, or helps industry. So it's very, very important that we come up with something very, very significant and not something which is very, very outdated. So this is something I thought I should share with you. Now I want to know from the audience that what are the various elements of a research paper? Let me stop sharing and let me interact with everyone. That what do you think are the elements of any research paper? You can unmute or you can type, whatever you're comfortable. Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am. I think basically, first of all, we need to do the literature review. So that has to
Okay.
be there. And then what is the objective exactly? We need to understand, review the literature and see
Okay.
what is the research gap and the objectives that we have.
Okay. So
And
we've
then, of
got
course,
yeah. So we've got
yeah,
research gaps. We've got literature review from you. Excellent.
right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, General Ma'am. I'm Dr. Liddy.
The most important thing which I thought while when we start any research, we should know about the research background. So try to connect from the research background so we can connect our objective and our research significance and the whole paper and title and everything.
Okay.
So
So can I
research
say
background.
you're hinting towards the introduction part, which speaks about the brief background and it talks about the gaps and the objectives.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Great. So I have introduction, I have literature review, I have gaps, objectives. Anything else?
Hi, ma'am. Good afternoon. This is
Good
Renu
afternoon.
from Bcips. I think we should start with the title first.
Okay.
On which topic we are actually going to do research. Later on, we can frame the introduction, objective, and gap, and other things. So that is the first step we supposed to do. So this is the key element of any research, I think.
Okay. 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 Great. Any other thoughts?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I think we should also have a conceptual framework for our study.
Okay. Madam,
And
can you repeat
we,
what framework? You said some
like,
framework.
what is the conceptual framework of our
Okay,
study?
conceptual framework. Okay, so you're saying you're talking about the next element. Okay, fantastic. I'm getting great responses. Let me just share my thoughts with you. When I say elements of a research paper, we're talking about the parts of a research paper. So it essentially is your introduction, literature review, objectives, conceptual framework. But we had one madam, okay, who had a very interesting point to say that the title of the paper is the most important element, and we should start with that. Title is an element of the research paper, it is very important. But I am of the opinion that your title gets framed as you are progressing in your research. Okay. I also feel that this is my personal view that we all teachers and researchers, we are a LR in progress. We are a literature review in progress. We're continuously reading something. We're debunking our myths. We're building our own ideas. We're making our assumptions. Then again we come across and then read something and then we feel okay. Something new insight comes. So they say that the more you read, the more you know that you don't know enough. So I think that is the beauty of the research. Coming back to my slides and talking about the structure. So is the slide visible? The elements of a research paper. Can you all see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these are the elements of research paper. We're going to talk about all of these things, and we're going to, in that, okay, I'll talk about the importance and all of those things. As one of the madams said, the title is very important, and then we can frame our introduction objectives. If you look at papers which are published in very, very high quality journals, the title is something which gets done last. Title and abstract are something which are done at the end. Whereas, the literature review is something that we start and we also probably end, okay, with a literature review because we're continuously reading and so on and so forth. So your literature review becomes extremely important. Now, that one ma'am who said the title is very important, let me tell you, I come from Mumbai University. When we do our PhD over here, we are required to register our title, and where we are openly told you register your title, you cannot change your title, you change your objective, you change your methodology, you change anything, but you cannot change the title. I believe that is the same in a lot of universities, state universities that we have. But unfortunately, that's not the right approach. You look at PhD studies that are done abroad or that are done in premier institutes, the topic never gets registered. When I say topic, the title registration is not so important. The domain gets registered, the subdomain gets notified, approvals come for that. And then title is something, okay, they built up towards the as they end their research journey. Anyways, we since we belong to an Indian academic structure, we should align with that. When you're writing a research paper, your title and abstract will come in the end. When I say come in the end, that is writing part in the end. The other things, okay, need to be given a priority. Now, according to you, okay, now according to the audience, which are the most important elements of a research paper? The most important. Now, I'm not talking about when we write, how we write. I'm saying according to you, when you're giving your paper to a review, which are the most important elements?
Yes, ma'am, I want to answer.
Yeah.
In my opinion, objectives and research gap. These are the
Okay.
important elements.
Okay. So objectives and research gap. Okay. Very good. What else? Anyone else?
What can be the future of the research paper
Okay.
that
So
on which we are writing?
okay. So future research part is very
Yeah.
important. Okay. Anything else?
It is the introduction also, because once we start with the introduction part, it is only when the decision is made whether the person is going to review the entire paper. So introduction has to be very, very thought provoking, and has to lead into what the paper is all about. So I think the most interesting section has to be the introduction of the paper.
Very good. Very good insight. Okay, let me share my thoughts with you. I have some data, something to back with. Okay, which talks about the elements of a research paper, and the source also I have shared. Now, this is as per one of the workshop reports that was generated, in which it was said that your title holds 7 to 9% importance for getting the reviewer attention, the editorial attention. Then comes your abstract, approximately one-fourth of your fate for a research paper gets determined by your abstract. Then comes, okay, your introduction literature review, which is 20-25%. Then your research methodology, and then you will see data analysis, findings, conclusion, 10 to 12%. Practical implications, 5 to 7%. And balance, a few percentages, okay, are for the other things. Now, my question to the audience again. Um, what is the most dreadful part of the entire research paper because of which your research projects are getting stalled? Okay, I have asked 3 questions till now. First question was, what are the elements of research paper? My second question was, what are the most important elements of a research paper? My third question is, for you as an individual, what is that is stopping you from writing a research paper in terms of the elements, right? From introduction to
Ma'am, I would
conclusion,
like to
reference.
answer.
Yes, yes, please.
Ma'am, according to me, I feel difficulty in the analysis part, that which
Okay.
analysis method to be used as per the current trends.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for saying that. I completely resonate with you. I was like this during my pre-PhD days. I am like this sometimes. When it comes to advanced methods, I again feel, oh, I don't know the analysis. How will I do? Anybody else who feels that I'm not able to use the tools, techniques, I don't understand stats, and so I'm not able to do my research. Anyone else over here? Anyone else feeling this? No? Okay, so what are the other difficulties that you feel in writing a research paper? The writing process per se?
Sometimes literature review is also
Sometimes
a kind
literature
of
review?
a barrier to find
Okay.
the right kind of research gap.
Okay, so when it comes to literature review, the plethora of databases that we have, the research papers, material have, how to go through all of that, how to track all of that, how to identify the gap. By the time we identify the gap, we see somebody on LinkedIn says that they have published a paper in that field. So how to stay abreast and relevant so that we're able, we are ahead in the research trend. Okay, so literature review, yes, definitely. What else?
It's
Okay,
about
let me
writing
ask.
the
Yeah, yes,
discussion.
madam. Yes, madam. Please tell me.
Yeah, it's about writing the discussion section and the managerial implications of a paper. Sometimes, if it doesn't turn out to be well written, then probably you have problems in that area too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Practical implications are so critical. These days, researchers, reviewers are looking at something, okay, that is not run of the mill, or that is not something, okay, very basic that is given. So yes, practical implications is something, that they look for, they are, focusing on. Now, my next question to the audience, that some of you have published papers. So, if your papers have got desk rejected, or they have gone for a major review, what is that point for which they have been asking you? Okay, that this part needs to be reworked, or this is not according to our journal. Or what is that desk rejection or a major review issue that you've received?
Good afternoon, madam.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, actually, when we are talking about a research paper and it has been ignored, generally the publisher provide us comment that your literature is not latest, recent, and it is also not highly cited. And when we use poor literature, generally we have 100% chances of rejection. Actually, I think so.
Okay, okay. So you were saying that the literature review was not recent, because of which the paper got rejected. You're also saying that, okay, it was not having recent citations, important seminal papers were not mentioned, it was weak. Okay, so literature review is one major reason for paper getting rejected. Your introduction is something, if it's not very effective, impactful, does not give you the background, does not tell about the theory, does not speak about you know, certain things, okay, then your papers are highly, they're about to get rejected. There are very, very high chances of they getting rejected. Any other reason, anyone?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Sometimes
Aparna this side.
research
Yes.
objective is also a kind of order. Whether
Okay,
get
objective.
rejected
Okay,
based on the
objective is
research
not given
objective.
properly. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
We fear data analysis, but data analysis is the last thing that the reviewer is looking at. They're first looking at your introduction, how powerful it is, what literature review, okay, what are the citations, references that you have given, okay, they're looking at that. They're looking at the practical implications, contribution to the theory. So are you seeing the contrast? Our fear is in data analysis, and so that is stopping us. But whereas the reviewer is somebody, okay, who's focusing on entirely different thing. So how do we bridge this gap? Okay, how do we bring these things? I'm hoping that by today's session, I should be. Yes, madam, please tell me.
Yeah, so a very good afternoon, first of all. My biggest problem, which I foresee when I write the papers, is establishing the problem statement with clarity so that we can reach to the right kind of objectives.
Okay, okay. So you're saying coming up with a problem statement. And that
Yes.
is something, again, literature review is the answer, and you will write. And let's see that probably, okay, the question that you are having, okay, are we able to, solve that by the end of the session?
Sure.
So let me
Thank you.
take you through the slides again and, speak further, okay, about all of these things. So I'm going to talk about all of this elements and share my, insights based on, what the reviewers are looking at, what care we need to take, so on and so forth. So when we're talking about the title, so very, very important that the title has to be impactful. It has to be something very appealing to the editor, associate editor, reviewer, and the reader. It should not be something, okay, which is appealing to only us. It has to be something, okay, very interesting choice of words. Every word, every alphabet that you're using in your title has to have lot of importance. In terms of subtitle, when we say subtitle, where we separate it with the help of a colon, where people say that it is from the perspective of information systems, or it is from the perspective of millennial generation, or of in terms of location. People give various such subtitles. So title is something, okay, one has to take lot of care. And what all should you also keep in mind that the search engines are also going to catch the paper. So if I'm going to Scopus database, I need a paper on neuromarketing. If the title of the paper only does not mention neuromarketing, okay, abstract also probably does not mention that, okay, then the paper getting caught by the search engines also gets, very tricky, very difficult. So very, very important, okay, that, we have our title. Now, how do you get a very good title? Look at the titles of research papers that are published in FT50 journals, A star, A, and such other category papers. And your title has to be something which is very work in progress, okay? It should be something, okay, which speaks about some important variables that you're bringing. It can talk about some methodology, like there is some mediation moderation. It can talk about a specific generation, okay, that you're trying to cater. It can be on it can be on all those aspects. So that is something, okay, you need to focus on. Madam, can I just pause for a minute? I'm just getting a very, very important call, and they've been calling me again and again. Can I just hold for a minute?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm extremely sorry. Hello, hello.
No problem, ma'am. You are audible.
Yeah, actually, I was finding difficulty in joining also because we have heavy rains in Bombay, so there is some electricity cut and we are on generators. I'm really sorry. So there was some
No
glitch.
problem.
Yeah. So, let us take each element one after the other and try to understand, try to see that, how we can overcome the various issues, okay, when it comes to writing the research paper. As I was telling you, the title is something, it should have something, your domain. So suppose if your domain, like my domain was on MOOCs, so in my title, MOOCs had to come. Suppose your domain is on mobile payment systems, you're doing some research, that has to come in your title. Suppose your research is on going to be on artificial intelligence, so the word AI, artificial intelligence, has to be in your title. So that domain is important. So, sometimes you are doing on a specific generation, like millennials or Generation Z, or you're comparing, or it's a cross-cultural studies, and those sort of words also have to be there. Suppose you're doing a systematic literature review, then the word systematic literature review has to be there, or a literature review, or domain analysis. Okay, so those sort of words have to be in your title. As a general practice, what I have been doing, if it suits you, probably you can also do, is that take a Word document whenever you read papers of your domain. That document you can keep the you can name the file as title, and then just copy paste various titles that you come across. Just observe those titles, and then as you progress in your research paper journey, you can also kind of come to a mix match, and then you can make it that way. What I have also seen, that once you get into the research mode, you're publishing papers after papers, coming to a title will become relatively easy. Somebody who's finding it difficult to do, maybe you can follow the existing titles and you can see how you can tweak. Whether you should have a question mark in your research title, that totally depends, okay, on how you would want your paper to be. Okay, that's completely open. Let's look at the next aspect of our research paper. Again, abstract is something I write always at the end. In some of the conferences that I've seen that happen at our university level, Mumbai University level, that they always ask the abstract first. Okay, you submit an abstract of 250 words, and then they ask you to submit the full paper. I want to know from the audience, is this the right way to do it? Is this the right way to approach a research paper? That I first write an abstract because I have to meet the deadline, and then I write my research paper. Like,
I believe the
are there
practice,
issues
the
in
prac-
this method?
yeah, the practice was actually that the paper would have been written, and then they would be sending the abstract, and then the organizers would be looking into the suitability of the abstract to the theme. But unfortunately, the scenario is not the same, and vice versa, things are happening in the country. That's what makes it wrong. Like,
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving us that retrospective perspective, that there was a good thought that, people are writing research on a regular basis. It's a work in progress. So from there, can you give us an abstract? But, a lot of us, what we do is, okay, in order to meet those deadlines, we first frame a nice fancy abstract of 200 to 50 words. Or sometimes our conference organizer friends, they also tell us कि अरे abstract भेज दो पहले first send abstract paper 2 months बाद भेजना. I think we are making our life very difficult by doing that. It may so happen that as we progress through our research, we may want to change, okay, our sample size, our research methodology. We may want to change, okay, our data analysis method. There can be so many challenges that we can encounter. So abstract is something one should always write at the end. Now, coming back to the abstract, okay, when it comes to abstract, what are the things, okay, that we should be keeping in mind? Let me first share this slide, okay, and then I'll go to the previous ones. So there are these two types of abstract that we generally encounter. One is structured and second one is unstructured. A structured abstract is something like what you find in an Emerald journal. We all have seen Emerald journals. We have seen the research papers over there. How the abstract is purpose, methodology, implications, limitations, etc., etc. Do you see that? Have you seen that? So that's a structure. So they have given us the pointers, and we have to exactly put our lines, okay, as per those pointers. Whereas an unstructured abstract is like a paragraph. Okay, so unstructured abstract is like a plain paragraph. Now, what are the ingredients, or what is that, okay, should be included, whether it is a structured or an unstructured? You have to write in one line, okay, about your domain or that background. Like for me, it was MOOCs. For somebody, okay, it is AI. For somebody, it is going to be learning experience. For someone else, okay, it's going to be humor in ads or stereotypical ads. So one line has to be there about that. Second thing, okay, you should be talking again in one line is about the purpose of your paper. Like why, what are you trying to do? The third line can also talk about the theory or theoretical framework that you have used. Have you used UTAT, TAM? Have you used SRO framework? What is that you have used? The next line has to talk about what research method have you chosen? What sampling? It has to talk about all of those things. Again, one line. One line, okay, it has to talk about the results. One line, it has to talk about implications, practical implications, and also about the limitations. Like that, when you make your abstract, then the chances of it getting rejected become very less. You don't get a review on your abstract, okay? That is something you have to follow. Let me take you to the previous slides, okay, that I had kept. The abstract also has to be given a lot of importance because a lot of researchers these days are doing bibliometric analysis. They're doing SLR, systematic literature review, meta-analysis. So when they go to databases like Scopus, etc., so they're putting certain keywords, and then they say that these keywords should appear in title, abstract, and the keywords of the paper. So if your abstract does not have the relevant keywords, are you getting what I'm saying? Okay, then that means your paper will not get absorbed, okay, in the database of that researcher, and maybe it might get missed out for bibliometric analysis or SLR, and you may lose citation that way. Also, people will not be able to find it. Okay, we should never put any references in our abstract. Okay, that is something we should never be doing that. Also, if you're using any abbreviations, we have to keep an understanding that a general reader may not know. So we have to give the full form of those abbreviations as much as possible. Okay, and sometimes some people, I've also seen that they will copy paste introduction and they will write as abstract. Okay, or they'll copy paste conclusion. So conclusion and abstract looks almost the same. No, it cannot be. The reviewer should find that these are completely new sentences, different structuring of sentences. Okay, has to be there. Okay, so that is your when it comes to abstract. The structure, okay, as I told you, generally it starts, the first line either starts about the domain or it starts with the purpose of the research. Okay, this is what I've been seeing. And in the end, okay, it tells that there are few limitations and future research, or it talks about some implications, one or two implications, or it just says that there are some implications. Generally, abstract is of 150 to 200 words. I have seen some of my researcher friends, they find it very easy to write an abstract, but then there are some of my friends who find it very difficult. So I'm a person who likes to write a lot, and I can keep on writing. Now to compress it in 200 words, 250 words, 150 words becomes really a task. So some caution has to be there that you have to abide by the 200 words norm that they have given. I follow this one general mantra that whenever thoughts are flowing, whenever I have to write, I keep on writing. I write as much as I can. I write, because then to delete it, to remove it becomes easy. Whereas if I write very limited and then if I have to expand, for me, sometimes it becomes a challenge. So depending on what is comfortable to you, you do that. But it's always that write as much as you can, write more. Then you can bring it down. Okay, bring it down becomes very easy. Let's move to the next part, okay, and talk about the keywords. Now, 4 to 6 keywords is something, okay, that we generally give. Now, before I share the slides with you, again, what should be, according to you, okay, the research papers that you have given, what are the keywords that you are looking at? What are those keywords do you mention in your research paper? Let's say, what are those keywords? Is it a research method that you're specifying, or the data sample, or some theoretical framework you're talking about, or the variable name you have used? What is that you're using? Anyone? So, so when I talk about structural equation modeling, okay, I was talking about keywords, and now why am I talking about SCM? Now, SCM is a very old data analysis method. If I'm just going to write SCM in my keyword, okay, I am doing injustice to that paper. If I've used a new mediator altogether, if I've used a new theoretical framework in a certain domain, maybe then that can be part of my keywords. Again, keywords are very important. I have seen some of my researcher friends when they have published in A-star based journals, the reviewer has asked them to change their keywords also. Okay, so we have to be very, very particular of, as far as using the right keywords. Then when it comes to introduction, so what is that you should be writing in your introduction? Remember that your reviewer will decide the fate of your paper based on your introduction. So if your introduction is weak, you can consider, okay, that the paper has to get rejected. What all should you talk about in your introduction? There has to be one paragraph about the whole background of your domain. So if your research is on, say, experiential marketing, you have to write something about experiential marketing as a background. Or suppose experiential marketing in retail. Okay, so for me retail becomes the background, retail becomes the domain. So you have to give some background about retail, and that too you have to give industry numbers. All those introduction which have industry data with proper sources, citations, okay, they get lot of leverage, they get lot of positive attention from the reviewers. So having some industry data, say about the retail. Then I talk about experiential marketing. Again, only key papers or key studies or how experiential marketing has progressed, right from its definition to and what are the main research that has happened. Or you say, madam, anyways, we're going to talk about that in the literature review, but it's truncated or compressed format. Also, I have to give that, okay, in the introduction. So that is something, okay, we have to do that. Then the next thing, okay, you have to talk about the gaps. What are the gaps that you're finding in your existing studies? You have to talk about those gaps, and proper one paragraph has to be there that the extent research says that past studies have said that there are limited studies which state that. So all that has to come that again with citations. Then based on that you say, okay, so my objectives are that these are the two theories I would want to combine, these are the few variables that I would like to take together. Okay, so like that you combine the variables, you combine the theories. Okay, like that you place the information. Thereafter, okay, you have to talk about the implications. Okay, like why your paper needs to see the light of the day, why somebody has to read your paper. So you have to talk about your theoretical contribution very briefly, that this paper aims to contribute like this, to the managers, to the policy makers, to the theories. Those implications should also be there in your introduction. When you write all of that, then it becomes a very wholesome sort of introduction. So as you can see in the slide, the general context of the paper, specific topical information, and the research problem. So like that you have to mention. Any questions, any doubt when it comes to introduction, any challenges that somebody has faced? Anyone?
I think it's the most challenging part to write the introduction because you've got a word limit where you have to clearly articulate your vision about the entire thing that you intend your readers to read. So it has to be
Correct.
very concise, very specific, and has to convey the
Absolutely.
idea very clearly.
You one has to give lot of time, energy towards revamping, revising, changing the introduction. Okay, it has to be fine tuned again and again and again. There has to be industry data in your research, there has to be recent citations of and also the older seminal work has to be there. You have to clearly point out 4 5 gaps, and your gaps cannot be that, okay, this was done in India, now we would want to do it in USA. No, we can't have these geographical gaps. It has to be a theoretical gaps, that this theory is missing, this variable is not there. Okay, so we need to have those sort of things. What else caution care do you take when you write introduction? I want to know from the audience.
Ma'am, sometimes there are a number of theories or models related with our title, and we have no enough matter. Even we want to conclude our idea in a small paragraph, and there are chances that a theory or part of any theory or model may or may not be missed. And in such type of condition, what we should do?
Okay. So I will share with you in some time. Okay, I maintain one Excel sheet. Whenever I do a research paper or whenever I take up a research project, that in that Excel sheet, I specify there are some columns on theory, past theory. So is there a UTAT, TAM? Is there a SRO framework? Is there what theory they have been using? So when I know that a certain topic where only UTAT has been used, where only TAM has been used, I make sure that in my paper I will not use TAM. And I will also not mention about that in my introduction. In your introduction, you talk about only the key theories that you have applied in your study. So, say for example, if I talk about, say, information systems, okay, so there is a TPB, there is TRA, then there is TAM, then there is motivation model, TAM 1 2 3, then UTAT 1 and 2, and there are so many such theories. I need not talk about all of that in my introduction. If I've used only UTAT 2 for building my conceptual framework, or I've taken some variables from there, then I talk about only that in my introduction. Though other things I talk in terms of few lines in my literature review part. So like that, okay, we have to take care. Wherein we can give citation that so and so paper has used TAM model, so and so paper has used hedonic motivation model, so and so paper has used another model, whereas in this study we would like to use that. So like that, okay, we have to distinguish it. So this is something, okay, when it comes to introduction. Out of all the papers that I have published till now in ABDC, five ABDC, one Scopus, four ABDC papers, I have always been asked to make major changes in my introduction. All the tips that I've giving you, I have tried to follow all of that. But every time I see, I get a new, surprise saying that okay, industry data is missing, or sometimes they say that no, gaps are not very relevant. I know that there are gaps. I am very confident, but sometimes what happens, it doesn't get reflected. Okay, so I have to make double efforts to read some more papers and make sure and highlight those gaps. So that is something that the gap is missing comment in the introduction, okay, something I have received again and again. So I'm very, very particular when it comes to introduction. Moving on further, we will, okay, look at the other aspects so this is something, okay, you already know, but I'll just tell you that how we, talk about the background. Sometimes to establish the gaps, we also give counter claims, saying that there are inconsistent findings. So this is a very important term, you need to use in your introduction, where you see that, say X and Y Z says that the relationship is significant. ABC says that the relationship is insignificant, and you are also wanting to do something in this area. So you have to see that there are inconsistent findings in the literature. We don't know what is finally the outcome that is coming, and so you're using that sort of research area or domain. That is something, okay, you can do that. And depending on the journal, you would be expected to write the organization of paper, saying that the next section 2 talks about literature review, section 3 talks about research methodology, section so and so talks about that. Not all journals are allowing that. Okay, so in order to save the word count, okay, you have to see only if the journal follows this pattern. You have to write the fourth point, organization of paper, otherwise not required. Next is, okay, the literature review. And how I want to know from the audience, how do you all pursue the literature review? Then I'll share my strategy. What are the literature review strategies that people over here are using? Anyone? So you read? Yes, Dr. Aditi, please go ahead.
Yeah, the general practice is that in the recent times, majority of the people are conducting the bibliometrics and the SLRs to find out the relevant things and the variables, so that even the gap identification becomes easy. and
Okay.
whatever they intend to propose in terms of the conceptual theoretical framework, it also gets linked.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, so SLR and bibliometric is a great way. What else? What are the other ways, okay, that people are doing literature review? Anyone? Okay, let me share my thoughts with you, okay, and then I'll tell you. So when I say literature review, okay, I'm talking about something, okay, we want to look at the past research, we want to look at the current research, and we generally don't want to limit ourselves at the initial stage only to research papers. To get an idea about the domain, to understand the topic, we would want to go through scholarly articles, we want to go through books, newspapers, magazines. Although we may not cite newspapers, although we may not cite conference proceedings, okay, in our research papers, but going through published thesis, conference proceedings, some journalistic articles, okay, is a very good start. That is the starting point that one should always do. Please do not undermine the importance, okay, of newspaper articles or magazines or proceedings or published thesis, etc. They become a start. They sow seeds in our head. Ideally, I don't cite, okay, I have never cited a newspaper in my thesis or my research papers. I've never cited, okay, conference proceedings in my research papers, but I do read them, I do go through them, because some of these conference proceedings, okay, have such interesting thoughts. Sometimes they're so resonating. They give a lot of structure to our thoughts and ideas. Even thesis is something, okay, I will always recommend one should go through. You are not required to copy that, but you get some confidence that at least what you're thinking on the right track, or you get some extra information, some contradictory information, which can build up your literature review. Remember, literature review is not just saying that this happened, that happened. No, okay, it is also talking about how it's a storytelling, how the field has developed. What were the contradictory views that came? What were the supporting studies that were there? What was missing, okay, in those days? How the technology was different, how societal conditions were different. Okay, so literature review is like that. Okay, it has to be built by in a form of a story. It can't be written in a paragraph format. Okay, so and so states this, then second paragraph, so and so states that. No. So literature review is something, again, it has to be kept in mind that we have to include seminal papers, we have to include recent studies, we have to show that how this theoretical model has been used in various domains, how there have been contradictory studies also. So all of that has to be shown, okay, in your writing. Now you say, madam, how to do all of that? So for that, you need to maintain an Excel sheet. So how many of you maintain an Excel sheet while writing your research papers? Show of hands. I need to see a show of hands. You maintain some Excel sheet when you do your literature review. Okay, I can see one hand. Somebody who is conversant, okay, with bibliometric or SLR, by default, you will be doing this. Okay, I can see 4, 5 hands that are raised. Okay. Dr. Aditi said that, if you're doing an SLR bibliometric, so automatically you get an idea. That's also one very nice way to start a topic, that you do a SLR, or you do a bibliometric analysis, or from Scopus you develop that Excel sheet and you look at the papers, but then that will just give us superficially. Off late, okay, post my PhD, when I was finding difficult to take up a research project, so what I decided was that first I took a topic and I decided to do its SLR, systematic literature review. It's a work in progress project. Through systematic literature review, the process that I'm going through, I got to know about so many gaps, and I have come with 7 to 8 ideas for my papers. Like, I can write some good 7 to 8 papers for my next 10, 12 years or 15 years of my life using this one topic and the SLR that I have done. So according to me, SLR is an amazing way to get the gaps. Although, okay, in today's time, a lot of people criticize SLR. They say that no, this is not true research, this is not that. But I feel that an SLR, systematic literature review, tells you the depths about the product, a project, a problem. Even bibliometric studies. Through bibliometric, you get to know the key authors, key countries, key universities, key topics, domains, fields, etc. Okay, you get to know. Some may say that in bibliometric, it's the machine that is doing the work. So that way, SLR is better. I feel both of them have their advantages. I personally prefer an SLR in which I go through every paper, I read every paper. In my Excel sheet, I even mention, okay, whether it is a Scopus index, whether it is a ABDC a journal. Then I talk about what sample sizes, male, female, what variables are used, which country this research was. So in my Excel sheet, okay, this theoretical information I convert, okay, into numerical form, okay, in my Excel sheet. And it becomes a ready reckoner for you to know the gaps in terms of geography, gaps in terms of sample size, in terms of research methods, in terms of theory, in terms of variables. And all of these can be your 5 to 6 research projects that you want to take. You also get to know how many qualitative studies are done, quantitative, and so on. Post the session, okay, I will share the Excel sheet format with all of you, which you can use, and then develop your project accordingly. So now let me take you through some questions that I have, and let's try to solve these questions together, okay, when we talk about literature review. So what to read? Okay, so I want to know from the audience, what should you read? We just discussed. At an early stage, you should read everything. You should even listen to YouTube videos, okay, if you feel, to get a hang of a domain, to understand the domain that you're trying to do. But then as you are progressing, then you have to focus on only quality papers. As lot of expert resource people say, lot of our seniors say, garbage in, garbage out. If you're reading bad papers, your output will be bad. If you're reading high quality papers, your output will also be very high quality. If you are publishing in FT50 journals, you have to read only A star. I mean, you have to read a lot of things, but you have to show only citations for A star A, at the most B. At the most B. You cannot even show C category citation over there. They don't even consider, okay, that as a research. So that is one care you have to see. Okay. My next question: how many papers should you read for a research paper? What is that number you have in your mind?
I think I'm here about 50.
50. Okay. Anybody else? Any other guess?
If it is for a thesis, then of course, the more you read, your work is going to be the better. But if you're going to, write for the research paper, then probably the number has to be somewhere around 50 to 100 or some, it depends upon how well the area is developed.
Correct. Okay. Okay. Very good. So it also depends on conference or research paper. Conference, obviously, the paper size is less, and so references also go down drastically. When it comes to research papers, you will observe, okay, in any good research papers from ABDC or Scopus, there are roughly 80 to 100 citations, 80 to 100 references that are there, okay, in the paper. Now they have shown 80 to 100. But the researchers must have easily read more than 100 papers to come up with a very good output. If you have a topic which you've been working for last 4 5 years, so maybe for this particular project you just read 50 60 papers and you had a great understanding of the earlier readings, and so आपका काम चल गया. But otherwise, okay, like, you have to read a lot of papers, easily more than 100 papers. And this 100 papers, when I say, they're of literature review, they're of statistics, they are of everything. 100 papers so hona hi chahiye. Till the time you're not reading good 100 papers, that means, okay, good literature review is not happening. You may not happen. Now, there is again no website or nobody say that you have to go through 100, but that's a magical number that I have felt for myself. Okay, like 100 to 120 papers. I go through that and then I feel very comfortable to start writing. Probably it's my problem. Okay, I feel this is a problem that I have. Till the time I don't read some good 80 to 100 papers for a certain domain, I don't feel like I want to start writing. Whereas I have some of my friends, what they do is as they read, they start writing, or they just read few papers, 4 5 papers, and then they start their introduction. But then I have also seen that as they progress, they come up with a lot of shocks and surprises. And then to change or evolve things later on, okay, becomes very, very difficult. Next question. Okay, how do we get relevant and authentic papers? How do you get relevant and authentic papers? Anyone? These days Google Scholar, okay, has this extension, okay, which tells you the indexation of those papers, so it is so time saving, okay. So that is one way. Second is Scopus database, Web of Science database, and then we also follow something called as ABDC list and so on. When you are writing an ABTC publication, please remember that you cannot cite UGC care papers. When you are writing ABTC publications, okay, for journals, it has to be from very high quality journals. And for Scopus also, it has to be very high quartile Scopus journals. Otherwise, okay, the reviewers will not do that. How do you get it? So a lot of universities, okay, they give Scopus database access to the researchers. Sometimes, okay, what you can also do is go to the public libraries, like at Delhi universities. Like for me in Mumbai, I go to Mumbai University, or NMIMS also has certain databases subscription. Okay, so I would like to take, we would like to take that and then uh, go take things ahead. Okay, download papers. Sometimes what I have also done is that I ask papers from my collaborators. Sometimes, okay, what I have done is that some of my PhD friends, okay, who are still doing their PhD, either from foreign universities or some, national institutions, I reach out to them. So through networking or through, the database subscriptions of your universities, these are some handy ways to get the papers. At once upon a time, okay, there used to be a site called as Sci-Hub, okay. That's an unethical way of getting papers, something I should not be recommending. But I know a lot of people were accessing their papers till 21, 22. Post that, you cannot even access that. So we have to boost our networking firstly, or what we have to do is visit public universities, because their libraries, they give us the access. Okay, so that is something I have felt handy to me. Now, next question is, how do you manage inventory of papers? So a lot of us, okay, we go to say public university libraries, we download a lot of papers. Now, what is the next step that we do? I want to know from the audience. What are you going to do? How are you going to manage? Okay, so there are going to be some 500 files you have downloaded. What will you do with that 500 files? How will you find a paper? What is that? What you can say? Paper. Paper numbering, file numbering system that you follow for yourself.
I think a lot of people these days are using the Zotero and the Mendeley for maintaining that library thing also, and it helps them.
Correct. So Mendeley and Zotero, okay, these are some great ways, okay, to like at a glance you get to know, okay, the author year, etc. Um, uh, but suppose if you've downloaded papers manually and you do not have or you do not know to use these reference management systems, you are somebody from the old school who wants to do things manually. I have done things manually. I've also used Mendeley. I've not used Zotero. I have always found manually very handy, very easy, because I have a file numbering system. So every paper that I read, okay, I put a serial number one, say one, then then there is a hyphen, then I put the first author's surname. Okay, first author's surname will come, say Shah or Kapoor or Malik or Singh. Okay, then dash, then the year of publication. I mentioned that, say 2015, 2020. Okay, I'll mention the year. Then dash. The next dash, okay, I talk about whether it was A star, B, and so on. So I mentioned that also. Now you will say, why would I do that? Okay, I do that because depending on my target journal, as I told you, if I'm targeting A star, my maximum paper citation has to be from A star, A, etc. I have to, align it. I have to structure it that way. So for me, it becomes very handy. Sometimes I also put dash as certain journal acronym name acronyms also I put, like JOM. JOM is Journal of Marketing. Okay. MS, Management Science. then you have IDD, information discovery and delivery. So these are some acronyms that I have developed for my own references. Now you say, madam, why do you do that? As some of us know that when we publish in certain, we want to publish in certain journals, they expect us to cite at least 2 3 papers from their journal. So I do that. Okay. So this is a naming system. And every time I'm reading, I first of all read via hard copy because I find it very easy as compared to online reading. Online reading, after a point, since I cannot highlight, I cannot write over there. Although there are annotation facilities available, but I write. I like to write. I like to highlight it. I feel then I get into the flow state. So I also number in that hard copy. Okay, one, and then what were the key takeaways from that paper? I also mentioned on the first page of that paper. Okay, that okay, this paper I have to. The research method was very good. Oh, the variables, was very nice. The mediation moderation was very good. So like that, okay, I make some notes over there, and then in my Excel sheet I fill the name of the paper, the journal, the author details, keywords, indexation, ABDCA, sample, country, all of that. So I would like to access information sometimes through Excel, sometimes looking at the hard copy, sometimes looking at the file naming system. Initially, all this I do, okay, it's very tiresome, it's very time consuming. But when as I'm towards the writing stage now, if I do extensive literature review like this with using this file numbering system and all, then the writing becomes so much more easier. It becomes so much more impactful. Then I'm just moving from one file to another. Then I'm not going through multiple files looking. Okay, am I looking for this information or that information? So for me, it becomes time saving at the later stage. It may not work out with you. It depends on individual to individual. But this is one of my strategy, okay, which I felt has really helped me. Next is, apart from some of the questions that I have, I want to ask the audience, how do you find the gaps? Like we say we read, but how is the gap we get to know? How do I get to know that, oh, this is the gap?
By going through the extensively from the literature review.
Okay. Okay. So this is a broad process that we do. We have to read the paper. But what is it that in the reading that you're doing, you get to know the gap? Where are
Then
you
we
know?
identify key terms, and later on we come to identify independent variables, dependent variables, then control variables, and mediators and moderators, and on the basis of that we can develop a
Correct.
conceptual framework,
Correct.
and then coming back to our problem which we are going to solve.
Absolutely. So that's why again the Excel sheet becomes very, very relevant, very, very important. Every time you have read, okay, you show okay under which variable, okay, what cite, okay, what is coming. So you have to do all of those things, and you will see that automatically after some days, okay, you have a crystal clear perspective at which theories have been used, what variables have been used, what moderators are not used, and then you can come up with multiple research ideas, okay, using that. Okay, so that is the beauty of the Excel, maintaining the Excel. Now uh, uh, in your literature review, okay, how do you write? Okay, should you include the tables? In some of my research papers I have also included the tables. Is the Excel I have included in my main research paper, that this is the citation, this is the country, these are the variables and the theories that are used, and based on these tables, okay, we see that there are so many gaps and so on. So like that, okay, I've tried to do that, and I got a very good feedback from the reviewer that the gaps were very crystal clear. But in some journals, they expect us to write in a paragraph format only. They expect us to tell us how the domain got developed, how did the theory develop, what are the key research that has been done, what are the breakthroughs, okay, that have come. So like that, okay, we will have to keep in mind, and we'll have to mention accordingly. Okay. I have also seen that a lot of times, okay, when I read, I simultaneously sometimes make some notes in the Word doc also, stating that, okay, showing the relationship, showing the gap, or something that I like in the implications from that paper. I try to make a note over there and there itself. It becomes easier for me later on, okay, while writing. And I discussed this strategy with some of the senior researchers, okay, that I have in and around me. So they have also said that okay, that's a very good way, okay, of preserving, protecting your information, because we tend to forget now 80, 100 papers we have to read. How can we remember what I read, okay, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and so on and so forth. Some of my researcher friends and participants, okay, when I take these sessions, they've told me that literature review is the area where they get a lot of plagiarism and so on. So from the very start, okay, you have to be very cautious, okay, that you directly don't copy paste any lines from a research paper in your working document, because it's very tempting, okay, to take those content, okay, and then sometimes we forget to change it or paraphrase it and so on and so forth. That is something it should be completely avoided. Experts or reviewers from certain fields, they identify the line structure, that okay, this is belonging to this author, this is belonging to this journal. So we have to try and we have to develop our own, what you can say, style of writing, so that okay, it doesn't get undue attention. So after literature review, the next thing, okay, I want to talk about is the methods, okay, and the methodology. So is there a difference between methods and methodology? Is there a difference between methods and methodology, or they are the same? Okay, as the slide says, okay, it is very different. A methodology refers to okay, a broader process, okay, of research that we tend to follow. A research method, okay, is going to be a particular step that we are trying to use over here. Research methodology is something, okay, once you get a hang of data analysis, research methods, this is something, okay, you will find easy to write, in which okay, you speak about okay, whether it's a descriptive method that you have chosen or an experiment you have done. We have a separate subsection in this, okay, where we talk about data collection, a separate subsection of sampling, a separate subsection of data analysis method. Then okay, so then descriptive statistics and so on. Okay, so this becomes very smooth, okay, when you have a decent understanding about research methodology. I'll tell you about my challenge, okay, while doing PhD. I was very scared, okay, about writing methodology, results, and analysis, and so on. I used to get so scared whether I have to write about discriminant validity, I have to write, okay, about convergent validity, I have to write about CB-SEM, VB-SEM, what all I have to write. So what I did was, okay, every time I read a good research paper, I would make notes. Like how college students make notes, okay, from the books. I started making notes, and in those notes, I noted the trends or the highlights of that paper in terms of research methods. Oh, this paper is specifically talking about sampling. Okay, they have used Daniel Soper sampling. Oh, this is something new. Maybe I should try something. Oh, they have used okay, common method bias. Oh, they have done, say, Lizrel as a software they have used. So I used to make those notes and I would read again and again to get that confidence for writing research methods and methodology. I think to each its own, different people find comfort, okay, in different ways. But the more you read, the more easier this task becomes, okay? So, um, so all of these things, okay, are there. I'm sure all of you know that, okay, that we need to write the data collection method, we need to write about sampling, sample type, and so on and so forth. Okay, so all those things you have to write. Empirical, analytical, what is your research path, and subsections and so on. Okay, so like that, okay, we all have to do that. The next section, okay, comes about the data analysis. In one of my paper, I had written very beautiful research methods, but I forgot to write data analysis method that I'm using SEM. I directly started with research methods, forgot the data analysis method, that why SEM, why structural equation modeling, why regression, why least square methods, okay, of regression, or why not something else. So you have to give the whys. So in the data analysis, you'll have to talk about the whys of the method that you're using, the technique that you're using. um, Plus, okay, it will have a lot of tables that you will have to present. Now, some people say that, ask me that, how should I present the table? Should I directly copy paste from my SPSS sheet, MO sheet, or PLA sheet? I would always say that no. Okay, you have to always make your customized table. So you will see that in some research papers, reliability is given differently, validity is given differently, callback is given differently, discriminant, HTMD, every things are given differently. But as times have passed, okay, due to the space crunch, researchers are expected to compress all of maximum possible information in one or two tables. That's it. You can't keep on having 10 tables in your research papers. We can afford to do in our thesis, but not in our research paper. So that is one care we have to do. I also want to talk about that. Okay, how do you, somebody who's not very expert in data analysis, okay, how do you start that journey of yours? Because the day you start understanding the numbers, your research reading experience will get enhanced drastically. I'll share my journey, okay, as to how I learned various data analysis tools, techniques. But I want to know from the others, how did you learn? If you were a non-statistics person, how did you learn this, all those various techniques that you come across? Or what is the sequence of techniques that you have followed to learn?
In my case, it was attending a lot of research workshops to gain a more clarity about the same so that I'm sure about the techniques that I'm using are correctly suited to the objectives that I've set in my conceptual framework.
Okay, that's great. So I have also done that, but I realized that I ended up doing things in a very unstructured manner. So it was the time of COVID 2020-21. Every week there's a new workshop happening, and I happen to enroll in almost all of those workshops. Sometimes I would understand what the speaker is saying, sometimes I wouldn't understand, but I will enroll in almost every possible workshop. Uh, what I have realized that okay, I had a very unstructured journey. If somebody who's starting afresh, okay, uh, this is what I have figured out. I could be wrong or I could be incomplete. So if somebody has a better viewpoint, please feel free to add. So I feel that first, okay, you should know descriptive statistics. You should properly understand mean, mode, median, quartile, etc. Okay, you should know this. This is given. This is basic. Probably we have done this in our early college and so on. Then you should know parametric test. Learn what is a parametric test, t-test वगैरह. Okay, आपको वो सीखना है. Not just the SPSS buttons, okay, but why is it used? When is it used? If I'm using t-test, okay, if I'm using f-test, okay, if I'm using ANOVA, okay, so how my hypothesis will be, how my objective will be. You have to learn that, okay. So that is parametric test. Once you feel you have got confidence in parametric test, okay, then you go for non-parametric tests. See what happens when you're doing a lot of research methodology workshops due to paucity of time, crunch of time. The speaker ends up teaching us all the methods in 3 days. ये भी सीखो, वो भी सीखो. I will first get expertise in parametric, absorb it, learn it, okay, become an expert in it, then go to non-parametric because non-parametric is exactly whenever I cannot use NO, what else can I use? Whenever I cannot use a t-test, what can I use? Okay, because if you're going to bombard yourself with so many tests and then it will get very difficult. So it's not just the tools, techniques, those buttons, okay, but reading the output sheet. What the numbers make, what sense are they making? Why there are so many numbers and what is the relevance of all of those? When to use what hypothesis? So ANOVA will have a different hypothesis. A paired sample t-test will have a different hypothesis. So you should be also knowing that. Okay, so objectives be and hypothesis. Then okay, then the next thing okay that you should be learning is correlation and regression. Okay, first learn correlation and then regression. Then there is there is partial correlation and all of that. I would suggest learn later on. First learn basic correlation, then learn basic regression. Once you have an expertise over here, then learn factor analysis. Factor analysis, I can learn the basic versions. Okay, right now all with SPSS. We are still now at SPSS only. Once you feel that you understand factor analysis properly, EFA samjha, CFA samjha, you understand okay regression and all. Then you move to SCM, structural equation modeling. Because according to me, an SCM is a combination okay of factor analysis and regression. I mean, just go if somebody who understands these two topics thoroughly, okay, for them understanding them will be relatively easier. Once you feel you have a great understanding in SEM. Now, in SEM also, you say, what should I learn first? Should I learn MOS or should I learn PLS? That is completely up to you. I feel that when so I was learning MOS also simultaneously. I was learning PLS also. There was just 2 weeks difference. I felt PLS I could catch up faster, quicker. I felt okay. मुझे वो ज़्यादा click हो रहा था, समझ में आ रहा था because it's relatively easier, in terms of decoding the tables. So some of my friends have learned PLS first. They have understood, mastered it, then they have gone to MOS, or some of them have done simultaneously. What after SEM? Okay, what is the next should I learn? Okay, about that after that. Then you can think about discriminant analysis, um, conjoint analysis, logistics regression, MANOVA. Okay, like that. Okay, you can progress your research journey. Now you say, ma'am, in today's time, research papers if have to be published, they have to have at least basic SEM, or if experiment hai to then parametric test. Sif a regular research paper using just parametric test is difficult to publish. Yes, you are right. Then why should I learn parametric tests? Because if you're not going to understand, okay, the t values, the t test, we're not going to understand ANOVA, the F ratio, how are we going to understand regression? How are we going to then understand SCM? So all of these are very interconnected. Again, just don't learn the buttons, etc. Okay, there are so many ebooks that are available free on internet that will tell you the steps, what button to press when, and so on and so forth. What we need to understand, how to make sense of the data. कि मेरा independent variable ये है, dependent variable ये है, so how and what relation, okay, I can make out. Okay, so that is as far as the statistics is concerned. Of course, there are many more methods and techniques. Okay, there is ANN, artificial neural network neural. So that is also something, okay, people are learning these days, and that also you can do that. After that, the next section, okay, comes the results section, wherein, okay, you explain the results of the paper. Again, do not copy paste the tables that you find from SPSS. You mold it as per your data. Okay, where you have shown the mediation, moderation. You have to cite, okay, seminal papers of, say, Hensler or Hare or such other great papers. For mediation also, you'll have to do that. After, okay, results section, okay, comes the discussion part, where you are showing that how your studies are consistent or inconsistent with the past studies. Okay, so you will have to show that as well. So that is something, okay, you will have to do that. So how it's going to be consistent or inconsistent, तो ये आपको वो दिखाते रहना है. वो and you see again, ये कैसे पता चलेगा? How do I get to know? So I see a lot of people who do not maintain Excel. They then just go to Google Scholar and then they try to find. I find it as a very exhaustive process. Okay, सोच के मुझे बहुत थकान लगती है. But once you have maintained that Excel sheet, you will get to know कि ये variable का consistent relationship कौन से और studies में दिखाया है. तो आप easily उस Excel sheet को open करिए, आप वो citation बता सकते हो. Imagine you started writing, okay, you were in such a great frame of mind to write, you did not maintain an Excel sheet. Then you have to then go to Google Scholar, you have to look through so many 10 papers, कुछ download हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है. Then we are getting frustrated, अरे paper क्यों नहीं मिल रहा है मुझे. I think we are taking away us from the deep work that is required when you're doing the writing work, okay, for discussion. Then when it comes to theoretical contribution, okay, we have to be very, very clear and specific that how the body of knowledge gets enhanced by our studies. I have found one very challenging thing, okay, to write, and that is practical implications. How do I write practical implications? I am an academician. I don't have industry experience. I do read a lot of industry articles. I do read a lot of journalistic articles. I watch YouTube docu-series, documentaries, podcasts, etc. But how do I get that industry perspective that is there? So once or twice, what I have done is that related to my area, I have reached out to my industry friends and I've shared my research with them, and then they sometimes give me such amazing insights. Ki what is the ground reality, what they are facing, what they are encountering, what they are doing. Okay, so I try to do that, and then I've seen that my practical implications has come out to be really very good. I discussed this method, okay, with very senior researcher of our university, that I do this. They said there is no harm. Okay, in bringing the industry perspective into the research study. Sometimes what happens is that the industry person gives me some pointers. It may not solve my query completely, but then it redirects my thinking process, and then I read further somewhere else, and then I'm able to write a very justifiable practical implications. Again, one of the very senior researcher from our university, he quoted one incident to us, that once, he had come across a paper. It was an excellent paper, but the paper had to be rejected because the practical implications were very weak. They were not practical implications. They were only just speaking from the lens of an academician, from a researcher. And it was so surprising to know that, that papers get rejected, even, if your managerial implications are not very good. After managerial implications, okay, comes our conclusions, limitations, and our future research. Your conclusion has to summarize your entire study. It has to talk about everything, okay, that you have done in a very, lucid manner, in approximately 300 words or 250 words, and not more than that. And I have sometimes got revision in my conclusion also, revamp your conclusion. So never take that lightly. Okay, once I had taken it very lightly and I had to face the brunt of it. And then comes the limitations and future research. How do you get to know about the limitations? Limitations cannot be only limitations of time or money or just sample. Okay, limitations have to be in terms of that you have missed out on taking some moderation, or maybe you have not done a longitudinal studies. This is like just a cross sectional. Limitations can be in terms of variables. Think limitations that, oh, I've just done the study in Mumbai. I don't know whether this will be pan India applicable or not. It's not a good limitation to say that. Okay. Next is future research. Your future research again has to be very impactful, because your future collaborators get built based on your future research. So we can't just say that, oh, and now in my current paper, I've used 8 gender as moderators. If I use education or if I use location, okay, as moderator, that can be a future research. No. Again, we have to suggest new variables, maybe new domains. We have to study new theoretical frameworks. We have to maybe give a contrasting perspective in our future research. And trust me, again, what I have heard, okay, from some of the research methodology sessions, which I have also attended over the years, that, collaborations get built on, okay, your last paragraph of your research. Okay, what were your limitations? What were your future research? Do I feel aligned, okay, with your paper area or what you're working? Can we both collaborate? Can we both join the dots? So that is your, what you say, your limitations and future research. And last is references. My recent paper, which got published last week, uh, we had a major issue with references. So we had one of the collaborators in our study. So we had asked them to, okay, work on certain areas, and they were also given the task to do the references. And there are 3 authors. So we were building this paper on Google Docs. And every time we were writing the citations, we would make a comment, okay, and we will put the full references. And we had decided that references we'll copy paste in the end, okay. So that person was required to copy paste the references, okay, from the comment section. For the entire discussion section, they forgot to do that. Okay. So discussion section में आप सोच सकते हो easily 20 citations तो होती है कम से कम. Okay, easily 20-25 based on the model, okay, that you are making, the conceptual framework hypothesis, okay, that you have made. And when we so हमारा paper first reviewer ने ही ये point out किया कि अरे you have cited so many things and they are not there. It became such a shameful thing for us, कि ये कैसे हो गया. And then we figured out कि that person, okay, forgot to take that. And we were wondering that why this paper is getting rejected everywhere. 4-5 journals हम try कर चुके थे, हर जगह से reject हो रहा था, कहीं पे तो desk reject हो रहा था. क्या problem क्या है, क्या issue हो रहा है ऐसा. So references is something, okay, we should never take it lightly. Now, how do you make your references? Okay, most people try to do it, okay, at the end of the research project. What I do is अगेन लिटरेचर रिव्यू स्टेज के टाइम पे ही मेरे रेफरेंसेस की लिस्ट भी मैं बनाती हूँ. But when I'm very tired, on certain day when I'm very tired, where I'm disillusioned, demotivated, or I don't feel like studying, reading something, but you still have to do something, still the work has to go ahead. Then those are the days I work on the references. कि चलो आज कुछ सूझ नहीं रहा है, I cannot concentrate. Okay, so I'm now going to focus on making my reference list. I'm going to make it as per APA or the Harvard style or Chicago style or whatever the style that is required, and then I'll do it accordingly. Okay, so this is something as for references. I'm just sharing some of my experiences, okay, so that you get, either some inspiration or you get some sort of redirection, okay, in your research journey. Um, I always write the paper and then I think about the journal where I want to publish. Somehow, I am not able to decide my journal in advance. And I think this happens with a lot of us. We write, and then we decide कि कहाँ पे, उसको submit करना है. So because of this habit, I face the issue with word count. As I told you earlier, I am somebody who will write a lot. I'll write 10,000 words easily, for a research. मेरा कोई भी paper 10,000 words तो होता ही है. But when they tell me to bring it to 9,000 words, 8,000 words, it becomes very difficult. There are some good journals which I feel my paper would have easily been selected. हो ही जाता था मेरा. But when I look at their word count, they say 6,000 words. Now you tell me 10,000 words, 12,000 words wala paper, okay? So how do I bring to 6,000 words? There are people who do it. Okay, it takes a lot of effort. This is my confession. I have not been able to do that, and I have discarded that journal option. I'll not submit it. ये possible ही नहीं है मुझसे करने को. But now my thoughts are changing because recently one of my colleague who not submitted, whose paper got published in a category paper, he also told me that at the third stage of review, every stage of review ना उसको जो feedback होता था, he kept on writing, तो उसकी paper length बढ़ते गई, okay? ये हम सबके साथ होता है. Initially, we abide by the 8,000 words, 10,000 words that they're saying. Every time a review is coming, okay, we keep on adding, तो paper length बढ़ता है. उसकी पेपर लेंथ भी काफी बढ़ गई. I think it came to around 11,000 words. He was asked to bring it to 7,000 words. 7,000 or 8,000 के आसपास उसको बोला लेके आने के लिए. And he said कि कैसे लेके आओ, रिव्यूअर्स ने इतने सारे चीजें तो मुझे बोली है, कैसे करूँ, कैसे चेंज करूँ. But since his paper was at such an advanced stage of review in a category journal, he did that. If I was in his place at the very first stage of submission only, I would have surrendered me. Boss, I can't do this. This is not possible from me. I cannot do this. But there are people who do it. So somebody who writes less, okay, I think you are at a very good place. Another way that I am trying to solve this problem that I have is I identify journals. When I say identify, I create a pool of say 10-15 journals where I feel that my topic organically aligns, and then I make a separate list. What is their citation reference style, what is their word count. तो मेरी एक्सेल शीट अलग से भी बनी होती है कि ये प्रोजेक्ट में ये एक्सेल मुझे देखना है कि I have to now hunt from these 10 journals only. Then I don't have to open ABDC journalist, look at the list, which journal to submit, then go to their website, then get disappointed. यहाँ पे तो चलेगा ही नहीं. This is like word count नहीं match हो रहा है, or something else is required, and so on and so forth. So this is something, okay, that I do that. Any questions, anyone? Before I take things further, any thoughts?
Ma'am, in the review of literature part and in the discussion part, is there need to discuss every review which I have taken in this paper in the discussion?
Sir, in the literature review, you don't have to talk about every paper that you have read. You have to only decide the seminal papers. Now, how do you decide seminal papers? Seminal papers are the ones who brought out that theory, or who came up, okay, with a very, very contrasting approach, or those papers which have got lot of citations. Why will some papers get lot of citations? Because the work is good, because the work is groundbreaking. Okay, so like that, okay, using some of these techniques, or you can make also a subjective judgment call that this paper has some very differing view, then I should mention that. Some papers will talk about the same variable, same relation, positive relation, then no need to cite all of them. Just one of the papers is enough from that pool, from that lot of journals.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone, any other
Yeah.
question?
Ma'am, I would like to humbly request you if you can just give example of or sample of your paper which is published in a reputed journal, and then explain attributes and elements which you have already explained to make
Okay.
it more, clear.
Okay. Thank you so much. So what I'll do is I'll go to Google Scholar. I go to Google Scholar for that, because over there I have a, I can tell you paper by paper, okay, what we have done. Okay. So
Yeah,
this
sure.
is my Google Scholar, okay. I am still a premature in the research domain. Still, there are lots of things for me to do. First, I'll talk about this independent project, okay, that I have been associated. So we did a systematic literature review on a concept called as place branding. There are some 6, 7 of us who were associated. Um, so we took up a topic. So I'll tell you how we how our sir guided us in this. We looked at the topics. First, our sir asked us to see are there any existing SLR or not. So I went to Google Scholar. I saw no, there is no existing SLR on the topic of place branding. So that was a good go for us to go ahead with the topic. But he cautioned us, wait. But before you move further, he then asked us that are there more than 70, 80 papers, 100 papers of A star in the domain of place branding? So then we spent, okay, at least 2, 3 months looking at various databases, downloading the papers, doing some quality checks. And we found out, yes, there are almost 130 papers, okay, which are either A star and so on. Based on this topic. So with this, okay, he said, okay, yes, now you're going to go ahead, okay, with this topic. Then we started reading the papers, and as we were reading the papers, we were making the Excel sheet. Why this Excel sheet is very important in SLR? Because you're then going to make a lot of tables, okay? List of publications, list of citations, a country of publications, variables. आप ऐसे tables बनाते हो ना, तो उसके लिए वो Excel sheet तो चाहिए ही चाहिए. And then, okay, each one of us was given certain sections to write. So somebody was writing on the introduction, somebody was writing on the methodology for this, somebody was writing on the LR. So like that, we distributed our part. We took approximately 5 months to fill the Excel sheet. Okay, all of us together, we took almost 5 months, because it was very difficult, to read the papers, to make sense out of it, and then fill. And then after that, we took 1 or 2 months, okay, to make the table, refine it, and so on. And then the writing was happening simultaneously. So that's how this A star project of mine, okay, saw its light of the day. Then, as you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these. The second last is a conference publication, a conference proceeding. The second, third, fourth, fifth, these are from my thesis. I am not bragging, I am not boasting something, but I read almost 700 papers related to my domain when it came to my PhD. When I say domain, that is the information systems. Okay, information systems में बहुत based है मेरा PhD. So I read almost 700 papers. This happened because of COVID. Okay, if it was a regular working day college, I don't think I could have done that. 2-3 साल तक मैंने पढ़े इतने पेपर्स. मूक्स रिलेटेड मैंने कुछ सम 250 और पेपर्स पढ़े, गुड बैड सारी क्वालिटी, ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ क्वालिटी ऑफ पेपर्स. एंड देन बेस्ड ऑन द रिसर्च वर्कशॉप्स, ओके, जो रिसर्च मेथोलॉजी के पेपर्स बोलते थे वो तो पढ़ते ही थे ऐसे. So I didn't make Excel sheet for 700 papers, but I read all of that. Excel बना किसका? Okay, Excel बना for MOOC related papers, because the focus of my PhD was MOOC. It was not information systems. Okay, if place branding focus था तो place branding related जितने papers हैं हमने वो किए. I made the Excel sheet, and all these papers that you see are a result of those Excel sheet. My all studies are quantitative studies. This one is an SLR. These three, okay, are my quantitative studies. And every paper, I've used some different theory, some different set of variables. So somewhere I've used ISS model, which was not used at all in MOOCs, and nobody was talking about customer experience. So I did that. Then in this, one of the focus was also the millennials population. Apart from using UTAT, so UTAT was not the highlight of this study. Okay, in this the information system success model was the highlight. So title में भी वो लिखा है. यहाँ पे title में मैंने UTAT नहीं लिखा है. Title में what was important for me कि after adoption, how are millennials okay continuing to use MOOCs? Okay, so that's how I made the title. Over here, we created a model, okay, out of using variables, okay, from ISS information systems model, and there were some other variables that are used in MOOCs. So we are trying to validate over here. So like that, okay, I build my area. So I had a clear understanding कौन सा variable कहाँ पे use हुआ है, कैसे hypothesis ये हुआ. I'm telling my Excel sheet made the life so much easier for me at the later part. When it came to writing all these three papers, although ये 2022-24 ऐसे दिखा रहे हैं, but the writing of these three papers happened within 1.5 year. Within 1.5 year, three papers मेरे write होके proper submission के लिए चले गए थे. So again, thanks to the Excel sheet and the SLR that I did on MOOCs. And this is the last paper which got published last week. In this we did not make an Excel, and I had such a hard time to write for this paper because I'm used to this Excel. You know, मुझे एक सब पता चल जाता है क्या information दी हुई है. So since we were three people, we had divided the section that I was supposed to do literature review, introduction, hypothesis. One of my friends would write on methodology, data analysis. Another friend, okay, would be doing on discussion implications and so on. So I missed having an Excel because एक बार मेरे पास एक Excel होती ना तो मैं hybrid learning का ये एक paper publish करके छोड़ नहीं देती. I would have gone to another topic in hybrid learning experience. Are you getting what I'm saying? I have still more ideas for MOOC publications, okay? MOOC के ऊपर से मैं publish कर सकूँ based on my Excel sheet that I have. It's just that, you know, with so many academic responsibilities, those projects are a little slow ऐसा. तो मेरी PhD को भी काफी मीन्स लास्ट ईयर मैंने आई डिफेंडेड माय थीसिस वो एक्सेल शीट 2-3 साल पहले बनी थी सो दिस स्टिल सो मच आई कैन डू बट आई एम लाइक slowly steadily I'll do. There is a great research gap that I see. There is no meta analysis on MOOCs. I have already done one SLR. I can easily do a meta analysis. It's just that I'm not finding that enough courage, okay, you know, to take such a big project. बट आपका एक SLR या एक बिब्लियोमेट्रिक स्टडी हो जाता है प्लस आपने अच्छे से रीडिंग की होती 80-100 पेपर्स 150-200 पेपर्स ऑफ दैट डोमेन ऑफ दैट एरिया यू गेट अ कॉन्फिडेंस एंड आइडियाज फॉर सो मेनी अदर टॉपिक्स I hope I solved and answered the query that was raised.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Any other questions before I share my next slide? Okay, let me share the slide, okay, and then we'll come back to the questions again. So, can anybody decode this diagram for me? Anyone? Very self-explanatory.
So you're talking about the quality of the journals, like at the apex are the FT50 journals, like the academy journals, which require a lot of rigorous work in terms of every aspect of the paper writing. And at the then after the ABDC, then you have A star category, that is ABDC category. And then thereafter the scopus follows these quartile things. The best are the Q1 and the Q4. And finally, at the base are the non-peer review journals.
Correct.
Like somebody who wants to gain some confidence may start from the lower end and then move on to the seasoned thing. That may be a strategy people may follow.
Correct. Correct. Okay, so this is, you have decoded it absolutely right. A lot of fresh researchers or somebody who's starting a research journey afresh, they are probably not aware about this, and this leads to waste of their time and resources in reading, reviewing papers which are of poor quality or which should not be read, which should not be cited. So again, depending on your goals and targets, okay, you should be reading. As an academician, as a practitioner, I mean, as a academic practitioner, I would suggest that at least once in 3 months, or knowing our responsibilities that I know we all have, at least quarterly, read one FT50 journal paper of your area, of your interest. क्वार्टरली में एक पेपर तो हम पढ़ ही सकते, पढ़ना ही चाहिए. Okay, FT50's Financial Times list of 50 journals, wherein if you publish one paper in any of these journals, okay, you get a job in top IIMs, IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Kolkata, or even in the premier Ivy League institutes abroad. Okay, it is so prestigious, it is so important and relevant. Then comes our ABDC list of A star, A, B, and C. Uh, Ideally, the target, okay, if you're somebody who's starting uh, fresh, okay, in your research journey, I would always suggest पहले scopus थोड़ा सा confidence gain करिए, then go to C, B, and so on. But if you're very confident of your skills, you can directly go for A star also. No harm in that. I'm a person who believes in building my skills slowly, one by one. So, like, first I wrote my SLR. My first SLR was in a Scopus. Then I looked at a C category papers. I have 4 C category papers. Now I'm I'm now itching to look at B category journals, or A, and so on and so forth. And that too as being a primary author. Okay, so that is something we have to do. The ABDC list is available online. Every time you're reading a paper, highlight that journal so that whenever you open the list, your research based journals, okay, or your domains, okay, is around these journals only. So, okay, so ABDC that way can help you. You have Scopus list also, again by quarter, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Sometimes I also go to Simago, SCIMAGO, to look at its H index, to look at its quartile, क्योंकि बहुत websites में नहीं दी होती है. So I tend to avoid reading and citing papers, okay, which are Q3 or Q4. So they are not ABDC, but if they are only Scopus, then I look for Q1 and Q2 only. Now, why I do that? Why this bias? Because sometimes आजकल ये बहुत चल रहा है, delisting, removing journals from the databases, predatory journals. Not predatory तो वैसे भी scopus नहीं होते, but those journals, okay, which are on the watch list. So a lot of Q3, Q4 are on the watch list. So I want to avoid that for myself. Okay, इतनी मेहनत की, unpublish किया Q3, Q4 में, and वो बाद में retract हो गया या कुछ हो गया, तो then it can be so, it's such a sorry state. I don't know how many of you are aware. Wiley journals, okay. Some of the journals had a special issue. So a lot of prolific scholars, researchers, academicians submitted their papers over there. The editor reviewer did not follow transparent review process, which got to be, which they got to know. I mean, the general public got to know later on. The entire issue, papers published हो गए, सब हो गया. The entire issue got retracted. इमेजिन आपका वो फर्स्ट ए स्टार का पेपर आपने पब्लिश किया, एंड देन वो जर्नल रिट्रैक्ट होना. ओके, आई थिंक that is a big danger, okay, that we have to take care. I frankly speaking, I don't follow any UGC care. Okay, मैं स्कोपस के नीचे देखती ही नहीं जर्नल्स को. In fact, in the last 2-3 years, I've also stopped attending research conferences. um, you're अगर जाना ही है तो you go to some good IIMs, IIT conferences, because वहाँ पे true feedback मिलता है. Otherwise, I don't believe in going to these conferences anymore, because over there also, okay, whatever you're publishing, okay, may not uh, have any value. Any questions, anyone, before I move ahead? Anybody? No questions? Okay. Let's talk about the cover letter, okay, that we need to submit along with our research paper when we are submitting to a journal. A lot of us, we are so tired, exhausted, and frustrated, okay, with this whole research writing process that by the time the occasion arises for submission, then the journal is asking us to give a cover letter. We are so tired, we are so exhausted. So sometimes what we do is we just pick some things from abstract we put there. या introduction से कुछ lines करेंगे हम करेंगे. We should not be doing that. We should absolutely not do that. And also in our cover letter, we just write dear editor. No, address them by their first name. तुम बोलोगे कैसे पता चलेगा? Go to the journal, look at the editorial board. Okay, so cite them by their, mention them by their first name, and then give some good original, non-repetitive lines, reasons that why your manuscript needs to get reviewed by this journal, why it needs to be published by so and so journal. तो जर्नल में ऐसा क्या है, आपके पेपर में ऐसा क्या है, what are those linkages, what are those fitments, okay, that is what something you have to see, you have to do. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So cover letter. Then suppose your paper gets under review, okay? आपको review आया है. So how do you submit the review? If you give it in a tabular format, that these are the reviewer comments, then next are your comments, response, and then you also mention in the table itself which page number, which paragraph, okay, they can find it. If you give the information to the reviewer in this format, I think it can become very, very easy for them to evaluate, sorry, to go through, okay, your material, your paper. And वो response भी फटाफट आता है. So I don't like this paragraph style that people follow, okay, that reviewer comment, then the author comment, again reviewer comment, author comment. I like the tabular presentation, okay, tabular format. That has worked really well with me, and I generally stick to that. Any other questions, thoughts, okay, about review response, cover letter, or paper writing, or quality journals? Any questions?
Okay, ma'am, I'd like to ask a question. Since you were also talking about, collaborating with other researchers, you touched upon that. So can you just tell about your strategies that how can faculty members actually leverage these
Right.
collaborations with researchers at other institutions so that we can increase the potential for publishing in high impact journals?
Okay. Thank you so much. It's a great question. Now, my strategy for collaboration, okay, is in two parts. When I was a novice researcher, when I did not have any publication, and now when I have a publication. When I did not have any publication, I would reach out to a lot of eminent scholars, and most of the time I did not get any response from them. But then, what I would do is then I would bring up some research idea to them. That this is the idea that I have. Can we work on it? So that was one way that worked with me. Sometimes I have this habit of asking a lot of questions in any workshop that I attend. If I'm totally involved, I'll ask a lot of questions. So I anyways would get noticed by the resource person, and then that's how our collaboration or our conversations would begin. Third, what I have been doing is that whenever I read a good research paper, I look at the author, then I go to LinkedIn and I send a connection request to them, sending a note that I'm reading that current paper, and these are some amazing insights. But I do that when I only find a good paper. I don't do this for every author. उतना टाइम किसके पास नहीं होता है. So like that, okay, I build, like, at least I start the conversation. Now that I have some papers, and I do a lot of writing work on LinkedIn. So there are some colleagues or scholars who say that can we work on these ideas, or you're already having expertise in this area. I have this idea. Can we both collaborate? So like that, it happens. It has worked for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, to your question, I want to say one thing, that be very careful in your collaborations. A lot of my collaborations have not have fizzled out. Initially, people are very into, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do that. one of the collaborations fizzled out because the one of the uh, teacher, one of the academician wanted, "Hey, I want to be the second author only. I want to be the second author only." So at the very first, okay, people talked that, okay, so that took away the whole beauty. Then another collaboration, okay, kind of got broken because somebody who had made the model, the other person is suggesting nice ideas, okay, कि हम उसको ये कर सकते हैं, वो कर सकते हैं, and they were really good based on literature. The original proposer of the model got offended and said, "I'm leaving the group." See, one person starts leaving the group, the whole group then goes away. And then, then there are people sending these emails, "This is my work, you cannot use. Okay, this is my idea, you cannot use this mediator." So I try to stay away only then from such projects. Then some of my projects have also, not seen the light of the day because during vacation time, okay, now I've learned that I'm not going to make any promise to anyone during vacation time, summer's time. We are very relaxed, we're very happy. अरे ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. The moment June, July, August starts, and with the way academic responsibilities, increase. So I've learned that. Okay, that is another year. And then there are some people who reach out to me saying that, "Madam, हम पूरा literature review करेंगे, आप data analysis करके देना." I don't like such type of collaborations. The reason being, मेरी effort तो बहुत कम होगी, but then then there is nothing of my true contribution in the study. So I will always say that please be very careful in collaboration because I've seen so many friendships going for a toss. People have started blocking each other. So go slow on collaboration. पहले खुद अपने skills build up करो, then you collaborate.
Thank you
Sorry,
so much.
I'm just being very candid. This is my
Thank
life
you,
experience.
thank you. Great answer. Thank you.
Anyone, any other question?
Ma'am, I have a question. I hope my voice is audible.
Yeah.
Ma'am, actually, is there any difference between the weightage, like if one is having the single author paper or in the collaboration paper? So there is a difference between the weightage of the paper, single author or the collaboration. Can you give a light on that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm smiling because इस question के answers multiple perspectives से दिए जा सकते हैं. So if you're going for an interview in a very premier institute, they will look at how many papers you have as single authors or you are the lead author. Over there, it matters so much in your interviews. But आपका जो API calculation है, वो pro rata basis पे होता है ना. अगर 5 authors है तो उतने points मिलेंगे, 3 authors है तो उतने points है. Over there, it may not matter so much as long as you have lot of collaborative projects और आपका score बन रहा है, overall total score. But in the interviews, it does matter. If you want to establish yourself as a thought leader of a certain domain, an expert of a certain domain, you need to be the first author, corresponding author. And वो तभी होता है जब आपका ही वो baby होता है, आपका खुद का research होता है. Certain IIMs, when you are applying for job positions, when you give your research details, they also ask corresponding author थे कि नहीं आप. तो corresponding author होना भी बहुत बड़ी बात होती है, lead author होना भी बहुत बड़ी बात होती है.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And in continuation with this question, actually, in most of the cases, when someone have done their PhD thesis, the most of the papers which is associated and in related to their thesis, they are most of the time based on their own work. So in that case, most of the time the scholars want to publish their own paper from their own name or the first author or the corresponding author.
Absolutely.
In that case, can we add someone else's name if some need some type of the help we get from others as well?
Again, very good question. So a research scholar who's churning out papers from their domain, from their thesis, they have to be the first author. It is important for them to be the first author because वो उनका काम है. The second author has to be the guide. Ideally the guide, and the third author can be, suppose आप किसी और को लेके आए because they kind of did some polishing of your paper, they did some data analysis, some writing, तो आप कर सकते हो. See, अगर आपको वही पेपर्स आपकी थीसिस डिफेंस में दिखाने के मैंने 3 पेपर पब्लिश किए, 2 पेपर पब्लिश किए as per the requirements, UGC guidelines and all that, तो आपके गाइड का नाम होना भी बहुत जरूरी है उन पेपर्स में। आपका थीसिस का काम है, अभी आपको आपके गाइड को नहीं इंक्लूड करना है, दैट इज म्यूचुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ योर्स, लाइक नहीं इंक्लूड, बट फिर गाइड को बुरा नहीं लगना चाहिए, आई मीन, सो दैट इज सम वेरी दैट इज सम ईगो मैनेजमेंट यू हैव टू डू ओवर देयर. Like my guide was so good. I remember once I was submitting a paper. I put her name first and mine. She shouted at me, Gino, this is your work, your writing. Your name only has to be first. The guide's name will be second. Then मेरे कॉलेज के कलीग के साथ हम एक पेपर बना रहे थे बेस्ड ऑन माय रिसर्च ओनली. वो एक सब अपने 2-3 वेरिएबल्स लेके आ रहे थे. सो आई वाज द फर्स्ट ऑथर, माय कलीग वाज द सेकंड एंड माय गाइड वाज द थर्ड ऑथर. शी वाज एब्सोल्युटली ओके विद दैट. तो वो भी चलता है.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anyone, any other question?
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask that there are many conferences, those who claim that they are going to publish the research paper in the Scopus journals. So, are they genuine Scopus journals or they are fake? How to identify them?
Okay, so whenever first of all आपको कोई भी journal name आप जब देखते हो ना, you have to do its checking at multiple levels. तो उसके website जाके देखिए genuine लग रहा है कि नहीं. Then check in the Scopus list, ABDC list, predatory journals की भी एक अलग से list, ऐसे multiple पहले जगहों पे देखें. See, जो conference वाले होते हैं ना, वो they tell us कि you submit the papers, it will directly go to Scopus. Ideally, it cannot go to Scopus directly. Ethically, the journal has to follow its review process. Like if you submit your paper to American Marketing Association conference, तो the conference की review अलग होती है, then the journal where your paper will be sent, it's not selected, it's just sent via the conference. They will start their another review process. Are you understanding? Conference review process is different. And
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, तो so somebody who claims कि नहीं directly जाएगा and then you just pay 5,000, 7,000, then it is something you should stay away from. Do not pay and publish. उससे अच्छा मत publish करिए. This is in general I'm saying. I know none of you are doing that, but in case कभी tempt होता है ऐसा कुछ, it's not worth it. एक खराब कुछ हमारा इस पे आ जाएगा प्रोफाइल में. Internet पे nothing can be erased, nothing can be deleted. I think it will just spoil our name, our reputation, our careers, and it's not worth it. नहीं करनी चाहिए रिसर्च पे हमने. नहीं होता तो नहीं करना, बट पेड में तो कभी नहीं करना है.
Ma'am, how can we identify the free Scopus journals? Many of people have told me that there are many Scopus journals who don't charge for the papers. But how can we identify them? Because
So
I have
so for
tried, but
so for that now, madam, you will have to go to their website and you have to look at something called as APC, Article Processing Charges. So sometimes that is genuine, okay? APC is a genuine thing.
okay.
APC is a genuine thing. आपको है ना वो एक journal जो the moment they are asking overnight publish करके देगा, 10 दिन में देगा, 1 महीने में देगा, it's a red flag. या वो कुछ 5,000 10,000 मांग रहा है, red flag. APC इतने कम होते ही नहीं कभी 5-10 हजार, वो बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं ऐसा. And somebody who's guaranteeing you for anything now, don't go to that path, okay? It's a dangerous path. Any questions? Okay, then I think we can conclude if the audience does not have any questions.
Yes, ma'am. Can you please sum up the strategies you would like to recommend to significantly reduce the time, to write our research paper from the writing part of research paper till it gets selected in top tier journals?
Okay. Reducing time as such, one thing, okay, I would suggest is that keep a target of reading one paper in a day. If you feel that is such a big target, at least 2 days में एक research paper तो हमें पढ़ना ही है. That means in a week, at least 3 papers अगर हम पढ़े, So by the end of 1 month, okay, we have almost read 12 papers, 15 papers. That itself can, and we're academicians, we are known to absorb content, produce content. आप ये 10-12 papers भी पढ़ोगे ना, आपको इतना confidence आएगा and वो writing आपकी शुरू हो जाएगी. So always read and extract some learnings from that paper and type it out. आप ऐसा मत सोचिए कि मैं 100 पेपर्स पहले पढ़ लूंगी, बाद में मैं राइटिंग शुरू करूंगी. आई थिंक दैट्स अ वेरी डेंजरस थिंग. आई मीन, आई कांट डू दैट. I read, I simultaneously write or make some notes. So that is one strategy, you should be, you can also do that.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
How can we increase citation in our papers? Is there any strategies or method?
To increase citations for your own papers.
Yes.
So first of all, you have to always research on something which is very latest. नया topic पे ही research आप करिए, because that's what people are also looking for, new topic. Second is, once your paper gets published, do share it in your community. Okay, when I say your community, it is your LinkedIn community, social media pages पे आप जहाँ पे हो, ResearchGate है, वहाँ पे आप कर सकते हो. Self-cite only if there is a relation, okay, with your past papers. सिर्फ अपनी citations बढ़ाने के लिए हम citation करेंगे तो वो भी आजकल पकड़ में आता है सर. So that should be avoided. Then some people have seen what they do is in their email signature they also include their publication links. So वो एक तरीका होता है. You can integrate your research paper findings in your teaching. या आप अपने ऑफिशियल कोर्स फाइल्स या कोर्स जो पॉलिसी होती है उसमें आप इंक्लूड करवा सकते हो, इफ यू हैव दैट इन्फ्लुएंसिंग पावर एंड वो सच्ची में इतनी अच्छी स्टडीज है. सो दीज आर गुड वेज कि मोर द पीपल विल रीड, लाइक दैट इट विल गेट अटेंशन. थैंक यू.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shah, for such an enlightening session today. I'm sure that your insights have truly enriched our understanding and it has inspired all of us present here today. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Sarika to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Sadhika. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the research cell of Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for the successful inauguration of FTP titled Publishing in High Impact Journals Strategies for Effective Writing and Leveraging AI in Research. Firstly, we would like to extend our deepest appreciation to our Vice Chairman Shri Vipul Gupta, our esteemed Director Dr. Aparna Mishra, for their unwavering support and encouragement in making this program a reality. We are incredibly grateful to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Jinal Samir Shah, for sharing her invaluable expertise on the topic significance and challenges of writing for an impactful journal. Your insights and knowledge were truly inspiring for all the participants. We are also grateful to the faculty members from other institutions across the country who have joined us virtually. Your participation enriched the program with diverse perspectives. Our heartfelt thanks go out to all faculty members of Bcips who actively participated in the program. Your enthusiasm and commitment to professional development is truly commendable. I extend a special thanks to to my fellow members of Research Cell, Dr. Chitra John, Dr. Vikas Dahiya, for their tireless efforts in organizing and managing this event. Finally, a big thank you to the team for their excellent support. Thank you once again to each one of you for your participation and looking forward to see you all tomorrow for the next session titled as Crafting High Quality Research Papers, Structure and Components by Dr. Keul Kumar. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sadhika.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you all in the upcoming sessions of the Faculty Development Program. Let's remember that together we can continue to strive for excellence in our research and publications. Thank you so much, everyone. Please have a great day ahead. See you in the next session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.